See, I think now, people would probably gonna agree with you more than they would agree with me on this. But I don't buy the progressive argument or liberal argument or actually sociologist argument on this, where it's like you can literally mold a culture to be anything, right? I
No,
think
I
there
don't
are.
believe in that.
I think there
That's
are.
a specific sociologist that believed in that. I can't remember his name right now, and he first
There's a
thought of
lot.
that notion that
There's a lot.
if you give me a blank slate of a person from birth, I can make him into whatever you want. I don't
Right.
agree with that.
Yeah,
I think
Absolutely.
we also have natural
Easily.
personalities. I think we have personalities which are innate to each of us as well. That you're not going to create just from a blank mold, a doctor, for example, of someone who's just meant to be a musician.
No, easily.
Yeah, maybe you want to be an artist.
You can easily mold anybody for almost anything. I really believe in the fact that they can. I can give you some great examples of, maybe not to the finer details as what you're saying, but I can give you some examples. Has your child ever come up to you and said, I'm bored. Well, why don't you do this or this or this? If you've answered them that way, you've done something wrong. If you just acknowledge it, I hear you, I acknowledge you, and then just ignore them and let them solve that problem, you're going to have two completely different personalities. You're going to have one that's more confident and knows how to problem solve a little bit better, and the other is going to constantly rely on the external input in order to be able to function. It's just in that's just a very, very basic form, and that can get as detailed as you want into all different kinds of things. So yes, if somebody who's trained and really understands sociology can pretty much mold. If you gave them a culture and isolated it, they could pretty much mold that entire culture in any way, shape, or form that they wanted.
I disagree, man.
Way too
Look,
I
nature,
can't buy that.
Yeah, nature always, at our basest level, nature will always override nurture. And look, you can see it in your personal life. If you've ever tried to make a pact.
Yeah, but there's only three natural things.
I will not engage in any sexual activity for a week. And then after 2.5 days, you're like, the fuck, I'll fuck a couch cushion right now. But what I'm saying is, and you might say, the things are limited, and I agree that they are limited, but they have a wide reach. Those things have a wide reach into the rest of our lives and how we function.
Nature isn't large. You have your drive to. You obviously have your drive to procreate. I mean, if you didn't, your species would fail. So obviously there are certain natural things that you're not going to get over. But when you're born with you're born with three natural necessities, and that's it. Sustenance, protection, which some people call shelter, but protection, because in infancy, and then also touch, association. If you don't touch somebody, they die. Somebody cannot live without being touched. Every infant will die if they're not touched.
Right, it's called failure to thrive. My grandmother actually saw it in the orphanage she used to be at.
So when you start off with, yes, there are basic things in nature that you have to have, and those are kind of understood. Outside of that, you can really mold, socially. You can mold social groups, very easily. It's very easy to manipulate social groups.
I think that culture changes people significantly, but I don't think that it's entirely black and white at all. And I think that nature is a much bigger chunk than I think that you believe it is.
Yeah, see, I agree with you. Yeah, see, I think nature. I agree with you that yes, of course you can. I mean, look, our culture exists. Here in the South, they have another culture. You go to Malaysia, they have another culture. Eskimos have another culture. Obviously, there's a variation within human beings, and there could be all different types of belief systems about all different types of things and all different types of, traditions that you have. Nobody's arguing that that's not true. But what I'm arguing is that there are limits to that, and I think people need to remember that at a basic level, look, people forget. We're animals. We are animals. like, you eat, you shit, you sleep, you're gonna die one day. That's how this works. Like, so there's obviously limitations as to how far, you know, a human being can be molded at a base level. We're primates.
For an example, as much as you want little Timmy to be a football star, to play football, there's a good chance that they still might want to actually do something else.